Hey everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Rebecca. It is fantastic to have you joining us again today, whether you're commuting, relaxing, or maybe doing some chores right now. Thanks for tuning in.
We have a really special and highly requested episode planned for today. We aren't just talking about English grammar rules today, we're going to listen to English in action. We're diving into real, natural conversations perfect for intermediate learners.
Exactly. Our goal today is to bridge that gap between textbook English and the real thing. We're going to listen to two different dialogues, one professional and one personal, and then we will break them down to show you exactly what makes them sound so natural.
Yeah, we'll share tips on how to flow smoothly between topics, how to show genuine interest, and the specific little phrases natives use to connect their ideas.
All right, James, let's get started with our first scenario.
Okay, so our first conversation today is a very common situation, meeting a new colleague. We have Sarah, who has been at a marketing company for about 6 months, and David, who just started this week.
This is a great example because it shows how to be friendly and build a connection while still maintaining a professional tone. They talk about work, but they also manage to weave in personal details like hobbies.
Pay close attention to how they use small talk to find common ground, and notice how they ask follow-up questions to keep the conversation flowing. Let's listen to Sarah and David. Conversation 1, workplace scenario. Hi, you must be David, the new guy in the creative team. I'm Sarah from marketing. Mind if I sit here?
Oh, hey, Sarah. Yeah, that's me. Of course, sit down. I was actually hoping to meet more people from other departments.
Great. So how is your first week going? I remember feeling completely lost when I started here 6 months ago.
Honestly, it's been overwhelming, but exciting at the same time. Everyone seems really nice, and the office culture is way more relaxed than my last job.
That's good to hear. Where were you working before this?
I was at a small advertising agency downtown. The work was interesting, but it was super stressful. Long hours, demanding clients. You know how it is.
Oh, I totally get that. I actually came from a similar situation. That's why I love it here. They really care about work-life balance.
Yeah, I noticed that during the interview. Speaking of which, how did you end up in marketing? Did you always want to work in this field?
Not really. I actually studied journalism in college, but after graduation, I couldn't find any good positions. So I decided to try marketing, and it turns out I really enjoy it.
That's interesting. I studied graphic design, so this creative team role feels like a natural fit. But I've always been curious about the marketing side of things.
Well, our departments work together quite a bit, so you'll definitely get some exposure to what we do. Actually, we're starting a new campaign next month for a tech startup, and we'll need some creative support.
That sounds amazing. I'd love to be involved in that. What kind of startup is it?
They develop apps for small businesses. It's not the most glamorous product, but the challenge is making it appealing to business owners.
I like those kinds of challenges. Sometimes the most boring products need the most creative solutions.
Exactly. You're going to fit in great here. So, what do you like to do outside of work? Any hobbies?
I'm really into hiking and rock climbing. There are some great trails about an hour north of the city. What about you?
I'm more of an indoor person, to be honest. I love reading, and I'm taking a cooking class on weekends. Always wanted to learn how to make decent pasta from scratch.
That's cool. I am terrible in the kitchen. I basically live on takeout and frozen meals.
Well, once I master this pasta thing, maybe I can teach you a few basic recipes. Everyone should know how to cook at least one proper meal.
I definitely take you up on that offer.
Tensing, thanks for being so welcoming, Sarah. Starting a new job can be pretty nerve-wracking.
Don't mention it. We've all been there. Actually, a few of us grab drinks after work on Fridays. Nothing fancy, just a casual bar nearby. You should join us this week.
That sounds great. I'd love to meet more people from the team.
Wonderful. I'll send you the details later.
That was such a great natural conversation.
It really felt authentic. There were so many excellent examples of intermediate English skills there. Let's break down a few key elements.
First off, the conversation starters. Sarah opened perfectly with, "You must be David, the new guy." It's friendly, it confirms who he is, and it immediately breaks the ice.
And look at how David responded. He didn't just say yes, he expanded his answer. He said, "Yeah, that's me. I was actually hoping to meet more people." Tap on desk for emphasis. This is a classic intermediate skill. Never give a one-word answer. Always add a little extra information to keep the ball rolling.
Exactly. Another huge takeaway here is finding common ground. When David mentioned his last job was stressful, Sarah didn't just say okay and move on. She validated him. She said, "I totally get that," and shared that she came from a similar situation. That instantly builds a connection.
And did you notice the balance between professional and personal topics? They talked about upcoming marketing campaigns, but then smoothly transitioned into hobbies like hiking and cooking.
Right, and notice how they handled it when they didn't share an interest. When David talked about hiking, Sarah admitted she's an indoor person, but pivoted politely to her interest in cooking. It wasn't awkward at all, it was just a natural shift.
Finally, the language felt so smooth because of the conversational connectors they used. Phrases like honestly, speaking of which, and that sounds amazing.
Yeah, these little phrases are the glue that holds natural speech together. Okay, let's move on to a completely different scenario.
Our second dialogue is a bit more personal. It's between a mother, Emma, and her adult son, Jake. Jake has graduated but is feeling unsure about his career path.
This is a great example of having a serious, supportive discussion with someone you care about. The tone is warm and understanding, even though the topic is difficult. Let's listen to Emma and Jake. Gently knocking. "Jake, can we talk for a minute? I've been thinking a lot about your situation lately."
Sure, Mom. Is this about college again? Because I told you I'm still figuring things out.
Well, partly, yes. But I'm not here to pressure you. I just want to understand what you're thinking these days. It's been almost a year since you graduated.
I know, and I appreciate that you've been patient with me. Honestly, I'm still not sure what direction I want to go in. The bookstore job has been good, but I know it's not a long-term solution.
I'm glad you're being realistic about that. What is it that's making this decision so difficult for you?
I think it's because everyone else seems so sure about their future. My friends went straight to college, chose their majors. They seem confident, but when I think of spending 4 years studying something, I want to be absolutely certain it's right for me.
That actually sounds very mature to me. There's nothing wrong with taking time to make an informed decision. But I do worry that if you wait too long, it might become harder to get back into the academic mindset.
I've thought about that too. Maybe I could start with community college, take some general courses, and see what interests me most.
That's not a bad idea at all. It would be less expensive, and you could explore different subjects without committing to a full 4-year program right away.
Exactly. And I could continue working at the bookstore during the day. The flexible schedule would help with evening classes.
Speaking of work, how do you feel about the job itself? Are you learning anything useful there?
Actually, yeah. I've gotten really good at customer service, and I've learned about inventory management. Being around books all day has gotten me interested in literature again, too.
That's wonderful. You know, you were always such a good reader when you were younger. Maybe that's something worth exploring academically.
I've been thinking about that. Or maybe something related, like creative writing or journalism. The thing is, I want to make sure I can actually make a decent living doing whatever I choose.
That's a very smart concern, honey, and I'm so glad you're thinking about financial stability. But remember, Your first job doesn't have to be your final destination.
True. What was it like for you when you were my age? Did you always know you wanted to work in healthcare?
Not at all. I actually started college thinking I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. It wasn't until my second year that I took a biology class and completely fell in love with it. Then I changed my major to nursing.
Really? I never knew that story. So, you're saying it's totally okay to change directions completely?
Absolutely. Life rarely goes according to our original plans.
That makes me feel so much better. I've been really worried that I'm falling behind by not having everything figured out already.
Jake, you're 20 years old. Very few people have their entire lives mapped out at that age. You're being thoughtful and responsible, and that matters way more than having all the answers right now.
Thanks, Mom. So, let's sit down this weekend and look at some community college websites together?
That sounds like a fantastic plan. I'm so excited to see where this journey takes you.
Wow, what a beautiful example of supportive family communication.
It really was. The tone was so important here. Notice how Emma started the conversation not with a demand, but with curiosity. She said, "I just want to understand what you're thinking." That approach completely lowers defenses.
Absolutely, and she constantly validated his feelings. When Jake expressed uncertainty, she didn't call it lazy or indecisive. She called it mature and realistic. Reframing concerns as strengths is a powerful communication tool.
Absolutely. And another excellent intermediate technique used here was storytelling. When Jake asked about her past, she didn't just give a fact, she told a mini story about starting in teaching and switching to nursing. That made her advice feel much more real. And look at how they handled disagreement. When Emma worried about him waiting too long to go back to school, Jake didn't get defensive. He acknowledged her point and offered a concrete solution: community college. That shows real emotional maturity in English.
The vocabulary level was perfect for B1, B2 learners, too. They used great phrases like maintain forward momentum, financial stability, and academic mindset.
And just like in the first conversation, they ended with concrete actions. Let's sit down this weekend and look at some websites together. That turns a vague discussion into a real plan.
So we've looked at two very different scenarios today, a professional workplace chat and a personal family discussion, but they both rely on the same core principles of good communication.
Exactly. Intermediate English isn't just knowing more grammar rules. It's about connecting with people. It's about asking meaningful follow-up questions and showing genuine interest.
The most important takeaway is to just start having more conversations in English. Don't wait until you feel ready or perfect. The people in these dialogues weren't using incredibly complex language. They were just communicating clearly and naturally.
That brings us to our challenge for you this week. Yes, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to have at least one meaningful conversation in English this week.
Try to ask a follow-up question based on what you hear, share a small personal story to connect, and maybe use one of those natural connector phrases like honestly or actually.
We would love to hear how it goes, so let us know in the comments. If you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Speak English with James for more practical lessons like this one.
Thanks so much for listening. Keep practicing, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye!
Bye!